see Ripple at the tracks down, and XRP bit a choo-choo. Solo Genesis, ain't nobody hot as us. Chill, I'm a y'all. Dope like Darius. What would you do for an NFT? What would you do for a real OG? Me, I'ma do whatever, but I'ma never giving up my private key. You lost your color for a minute, now you black again. Yeah, I'm on a blockchain with it, and my blockchain monkeys full of octane in them. You know the vibe, plus we shredded than a motherfucker. Yeah, we crash monkeys. Yeah, we crash monkeys. It go Planet of the Apes, gorillas in a mess. All these bad rules all over my shit. It go Planet of...
What is going on, blockchain monkeys? Eagle here. Thank you for coming to my jungle. And first of all, I'm no financial advisor whatsoever, nor am I professional in blockchain technology. But there's one thing that I absolutely will do, and that's give my opinion. So today, we have got to get to GBEX Globiance. Let's go. Have you seen the burn rate? And also, what is happening over there in Africa? Let's take a look. But before we can do that, I'm going to need you to rub those hands together real vigorously and slide down Twitter. Coming in hot from Worst Cloppy, weekly summary of GBEX burn rate. This week, we had a total of 10.24 billion burned from the supply. Yes, indeed. And do you have a Globiance account yet? If not, the link is in the description. And so I'm not going to hold you any longer. Coming in hot from Oliver LaRosa, we are starting our platform in South Africa first, and then we come to Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, Zimbabwe, and it keeps on going. Who shout out to GBEX? And yes, we are staking and baking over there. But I wanted to get to this tweet real quick. Coming in hot from Driven Chapman, I'm very excited about the expansion and adoption to the beautiful continent of Africa. Thank you, Oliver and the GBEX team. And coming in hot with the retweet, Oliver LaRosa, this is Chapman. This is coming from the Bitcoin conference. Take a listen.
So let's talk Africa, Zimbabwe, often especially. If we look at Africa as a whole, outside Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe is the real shining light for that continent because it has lived experience of hyperinflation, which, if we follow right now, is on that track road as we speak. And the trust between citizen and government is really depreciated tremendously. Everywhere. And again, U.S. is behind that, but our inflation's bad. Worse than 40 years. It's not as bad but it's going to be persistent. The distrust is massive. It's massive. And we see that it's a global experience people are having. So let's talk Africa, Zimbabwe, often, especially in places like the US, get much less attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about real world use case here.
We don't pay attention. I'm not going to go there. It's because they're not white people or whatever. It has anything to do with that. I just think it's a far away, not relatable kind of, it's, we're very much about what's right in front of us. But you're there. And you're seeing a country that has enormous potential, but you've been under a 40-year, government. I don't know how you would describe your government, but any government that's been in for 40 years to me, I don't care if you want to call it a dictatorship or a democracy. Like when I see people in our government 40 years, I'm like, you're just basically your institutional system now.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the real challenge in the politics today in Zimbabwe. 42 years or since independence, the same regime, the same party's been there. And a lot has been lost, a lot has been looted. Generations have gone, the generational wealth completely lost. And the challenge we're seeing today, or the beauty I should say, really what's happening today is people are now informed. This is not 1990 or 1987 or 1996. Today, the youth in Zimbabwe, which Africa has the youngest population, they are aware of cryptocurrency. In fact, they're even engaged in it, in cryptocurrency. They're engaged in Bitcoin. They're engaged in global transaction. And so this government now that is built of old men and old ideas don't work. And what I'm learning from here is that our country has to really progress. We have the opportunity to skip certain levels and really get in front of this. As I mentioned, the shining light. The part that you mentioned, saying that, that part of the world is sort of ignored, used to be the case. The future of Zimbabwe specifically is much larger because of our natural resources.
That's
and
a great point. That's a great point.
So we are a focal point in Africa now.
Yes, certainly for the continent and even increasingly, you're right. The natural resources, and again, it's interesting because that's a hard asset.
It is.
And I think what's fascinating to me is the combination of places with hard assets, and let's just call them digital or soft assets or whatever word you would use, is an interesting one also with age, because I think we're seeing, President Zelensky in Ukraine saying we're a young country. People talk about them being a young country. I don't know if he said it, but people talk about the youth of the country. He's only 40. Youth is what will drive political change, but I think it's what will drive, as you said, the blockchain, the crypto, that acceptance is so much easier.
You better say it.
for people. So the combination, I'm thinking you're looking at your country going, we got political,
And look at you sitting in the front row seat of the rocket.
social, economic problems need resolution. We got a younger generation willing for change, and we've got this blockchain technology that could merge together and help create that change. Fair way to put it?
Yeah, that's a very fair way to put it. And it also gives independence. So the beauty of youth is they don't want to be tied to these giant conglomerates saying, are you part of this or part of that? No, give me the ownership and how I want to progress in my culture. And if they can interact with someone else and be able to do a Bitcoin transaction, and that other person might be in India, or we talk about youth, El Salvador, who's also a youthful president as well. You know, this allows now global citizenship where we can really have a dialogue on how we exchange goods and services with folks. And
Do you understand what is happening here, ladies and gentlemen, right in front of your face? This is just beautiful and magnificent. And make sure you're enjoying the journey. And real quick, back on Globiance, let's not forget about this. We have the Impel and Globiance announced strategic partnership coming in hot July 27th, 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, Impel and Globiance are pleased to announce today's memorandum of understanding between Oliver Marco LaRosa and founder and CEO of Globiance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, check this here. This is key. Globiance is one of the first leaders in the industry to pilot Impel's ISO 222 financial messaging, a messaging standard that is already widely adopted in more than 70 countries, and one in the United States aimed to implement by 2025. So that would mean that we are a little bit early, okay? Globiance will implement Impel's API with optional instant settlement, the ability using XDC, the native coin on the XDC network, XRC20 tokens, such as Globiance's native token GBEX or stablecoins. There is not enough banana cake in Miss Parker's oven to have me miss out on Globiance. Come on, subscribe. And we will all see each other on the moon.
Cause it's the standard in this bitch. XRP. I went to YouTube University, and now they mocking me with no degree. We saying by the swift, keep it walking. Respect your elders in these bushes. Bitcoin is talking.
You don't have to be rich to be taking advantage of this. This was the beginning of the greatest transformation of wealth the world has ever fucking seen since World War II.
Blockchain. We talking about an intellectual choo-choo train. It's DLT up in these streets, man. That's why we rip all on that blockchain.